term, second 5-year term as a commissioner with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission.
Okay, well, thank you. And I said, oh my God, I got to follow Manly. There'll be nothing else to say. You said it all. But I'll figure out something. You know, I got all this here, but he pretty well covered a lot of it. But the one thing I would really want to say is that I'm truly honored to be here at this dedication. And I've been to a lot of dedications, but I will tell you this is a highlight for me because it touches on the culture, the heritage, the roots, and the identity of Florida. You know, when I look out here and I see all of the families that's been here for multiple generations, you know, you are the heartland of Florida. And I think the important thing today as we honor the Jones family, Mariana and Johnny, is when you go back, I tell you, I was overwhelmed when I read everything that they've done for the state of Florida and for conservation and for the preservation of our environment with sustainable access and enjoyment to the people of Florida and the world. I'm just overwhelmed and you know, interesting enough, y'all met in the 7th grade and got married when they were 15 and 16 years old. Now, isn't that wonderful? You all had to grow up mighty fast. But, you know, when I look at their lives, to be able to enjoy what they've accomplished together, you know, sort of like my girlfriend, Allie, which I want to introduce, Alligator Allie, which I introduced her to the beautiful Everglades, one of the natural wonders of the whole world about 15 years ago, and she fell in love with it. And she puts up with me constantly in running all my businesses as well as spending half my time trying to protect the resources of Florida, the natural resources and the Everglades, one of the natural wonders of the whole world. And I am so honored to be appointed by the governor, which we had dinner with last night, and all I talked about was the Everglades. And so he got an earful, believe me, about Everglades restoration, one of the largest restoration in the history of the world. And he asked a question about, can we do it? And my answer was that if we can send someone to the moon in a rocket ship, I think we can save our environment on Earth here. So, and I'm honored to be a part of that. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones started getting active in 1956 with certain sportsmen's clubs, and then took over the executive and president level in the 70s. And, you know, I had a grandfather that was a game warden back in the 40s, and I was so blessed that at 3 years old he put me in an airboat. And I entered into the beautiful Everglades. And I can remember the beauty, the sunsets, the landscaping, the wildlife, the smell. And here I am today and hope that I can give back to work with everyone I see here, because it's going to take all of us to preserve that environment and all of the natural resources of Florida, the #1 fishing in the world. We are so blessed to live in a state, and we're so blessed to have the Jones family that has dedicated a half a century of their life and the accomplishments, 67 laws to establish conservation, 67. Preserving over 3 million acres. Now, can you imagine, without the effort they put in for all these years, we wouldn't have that 3 million acres in conservation. And I believe the important thing is that as Florida, with economical growth and job opportunities, we can still preserve our environment. And there's certain resources for drinking water But as long as the water levels are compatible with the environment, we get 2 for 1. And that's what's important. And, you know, as I remember back, Lawton Childs was a personal friend of mine. And I used to fly him back and forth to Bartow. And I remember when the Big Cypress Preserve and the Congressional Act of 1974. And I just reviewed that file about 5 years ago as we tried to move forward with the Park Service to have sustainable access and enjoyment as per the law of the Congressional Act, which established that you must have, you know, hunting, fishing, bird watching, hiking trails, ORV trails sustainable with the environment. And every time I read something, the Jones family, I see their input and I see their involvement. That's all the way back in the 70s. I remember I got concerned in 1982 when we had the Mercy kill. And half our wildlife drowned in the Everglades. And of course, I wasn't involved. And then in 1994, we drowned about 98% of everything that lives north of the Tamiami Trail. And that's when I realized what people like the Joneses have contributed, that we can't sit back and think that everything's going to be okay. We have to get involved. And from that day forward, I tried to stay extremely involved, and every time I turned around, there's Johnny Jones. I even remember when he was in a wheelchair, and I was at several meetings. I wasn't a commissioner then. But when that man spoke, it was like E.F. Hutton. The whole room shut up and listened. He kind of reminds me, and there's a lot of mentors in my life, and one of them was my football coach, you know, that taught me discipline and brought us to be the state champion of Florida in the Orange Bowl. And one day I asked the coach, I said, what do you want out of us, you know, because he's all the time screaming and hollering. He says, I want every cell in your body. I said, yes, sir. I'll give you everything I got. But that was Johnny Jones, you know. And when I look back at y'all's career, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Because for a family that's been here 8 generations, 170 years, and I'm so blessed to be raised in the culture, in the heritage, in the roots, in the identity. And when you lose your identity, you actually lose who you are in life. So the important thing is that we all of us here, and I want to thank everyone for being here, because this is a great day. And we don't want to forget all of the great people that have brought us to where we're at today. Even Lawton Childs. What a great man that I was so blessed to be a great friend with. And so I want you to know that any way I can help any of the associations, any of the conservation clubs, we need to all work together. You know, the important thing is that as we move forward, that we've got to preserve all of these great lands that the Joneses have brought forward and have established to be preserved forever. And we have to do that with sustainable access and enjoyment, and respect the culture of the real roots of Florida. And I'm honored to be in this position, and I want you to know this is one of the greatest honors in speaking, because it affects me on a very passionate basis on my life and the way I was raised in Florida, and been able to enjoy this great environment and be a part of the environment. So thank you for the opportunity. I didn't think I could find anything to say after Manly, but